Welcome to the deep dive. Get ready, because today we're going to explore something pretty cool, actually. It can really unlock a new level of expression in your English. We're talking about blending vocabulary.
Right.
Think of it like adding, I don't know, secret ingredients to your language toolkit to make it more creative, more precise, and honestly, just a lot more interesting.
That's a great way to put it. And for you, listening in, someone who's obviously interested in expanding your English skills, maybe for studying or making your writing really pop, or maybe you just have a curious mind.
Yeah.
This deep dive, well, it's kind of a shortcut. We're moving beyond just, memorizing endless lists.
Right.
We're looking at how you can actively build and shape the language you use.
Exactly. And we've been digging into this really fascinating ebook that's our main guide today, all about the power of blended English vocabulary. So over our time together, we'll break down the basic bits of English words, uncover some cool ways to mash them up effectively.
Yeah, the technique.
Look at those key roots and affixes. They're like linguistic Lego bricks, aren't they?
Totally.
And even get into creating your own words. And importantly, how you can weave these blends naturally into, everyday chat and writing.
The mission really is to give you the tools so you feel more in command of English.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Why should this idea of blending vocabulary grab your attention? It's not just about learning new words passively, is it?
No, not at all. It offers something much more dynamic for you. The ebook we looked at really points out some key benefits.
Okay, like what?
Well, first off, it's a fantastic boost for your creativity. Simple as that. When you start thinking about how different words can connect and combine, it just opens up new pathways in your thinking.
That makes sense. And I suppose that creative thinking naturally helps your communication too. It makes it sharper.
Exactly. When you can combine elements to say precisely what you mean, your message just lands better. It has more impact.
Right.
Plus, and this is huge for language learners, it makes the whole process, more fun and more personal.
Yeah, less of a chore, more like playing with language.
Precisely. It becomes tailored to you.
I really like that point about personalization. Blending lets you shape the language to fit your style, express your unique view, whether you're talking or typing. And here's where it gets really interesting, I think. The source really emphasizes that this puts you in a more active role. You're not just a consumer of words.
You become a creator.
Exactly.
Okay, so to really get our hands dirty with blending, it helps to understand the raw materials first. Where do English words actually come from?
Good point.
Our source highlights three main streams, basically, that have fed into the language you use today.
Okay, so first up, we have the Anglo-Saxon roots. These are like the bedrock, right? The everyday words.
Yeah, your basics, think house, food, love.
Yeah.
Short, direct, core vocabulary. Then you've got a massive influence from Latin and Greek roots. These really enriched English, especially in areas like science, education, medicine. Words like biology or television, you see these patterns repeating. For you, recognizing these roots can be a game changer for learning new words. It helps you spot connections.
Like seeing the family resemblance between words.
Exactly. And the third big source is borrowed words. English is like a magpie. It's picked up words from everywhere.
Yeah. Like restaurant from French.
Shampoo from Hindi.
Karaoke from Japanese. It really shows how diverse English is.
And the useful thing for you to grasp here isn't just the history lesson. Knowing these origins gives you a real advantage when you start thinking about blending. You start to see how word parts carry meaning and how they might fit together.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So we know where the words come from. Now for the exciting part, the actual techniques for blending and expanding your vocabulary, the ebook lays out some really neat strategies. The first one sounds a bit fancy. Portmanteau words.
It does sound grand, doesn't it? But the idea is actually pretty simple, and you see it all the time. A portmanteau is basically a new word made by squishing two other words together.
Like a hybrid word.
Exactly.
And we've all used them, even if we didn't know the term. The source gives great examples like brunch.
Right. Breakfast plus lunch.
Obvious. Or motel.
Motor plus hotel. Clever.
And maybe less fun, smog.
Smoke plus fog.
Yeah.
These work so well because they're usually short, punchy, and the meaning is often pretty clear from the two source words,
Definitely. It shows how a simple trick can create words that just become normal.
Right. So the second technique the source mentions is word pairing. Now, this is maybe a bit different from just merging words like portmanteaus, but it's super powerful for adding expression.
Yeah, it's more about the impact you get by putting sometimes simple words together, like mind-blowing. Neither mind nor blowing is that complex alone, but together.
Wow, it paints a picture.
Or heartwarming, sky high. Yeah. They're easy for you to grasp and start using pretty quickly.
And what's interesting is how these pairs often create maybe a stronger feeling or a bigger sense of scale than the words would have on their own.
True.
And the third technique really gets into building words actively, using root words plus prefixes and suffixes.
Ah, okay. This is where knowing those Latin and Greek roots we mentioned really pays off for you, real?
Absolutely. The source uses the root act as a great example. Just by adding different bits on the front or back, you get a whole family. React, interaction, inactive, action.
Wow, yeah. One root, many words.
It's incredibly efficient for you. Learn one root, learn a few common prefixes and suffixes, and suddenly you have access to a whole network of words, like having a master key.
A linguistic master key. I like that.
Yeah.
Which brings us neatly to looking at some of those common roots, prefixes, and suffixes. The ebook gives some really useful ones that you can start spotting almost immediately.
Yes, let's look at a few. For roots, bio, meaning life. You see it in biology, obviously, but also autobiography.
Okay. Or spect, meaning to see.
Right. Inspect, spectator, perspective. Spotting these makes new words feel much less intimidating for you.
And prefixes, those bits at the beginning.
Like meaning not. Yeah. Unhappy, uncertain, super common.
Or pre, meaning before, like preview or predict. Understanding these unlocks, meaning instantly for you.
Exactly. And then suffixes at the end.
Hawful,
meaning full of.
Beautiful, thoughtful.
And its opposite, sort of thoughtless without.
Fearless, hopeless. It's amazing how those small endings completely change things.
It is. And the power here, like the source says, is the multiplication. Learn maybe 20 common roots, 20 prefixes, 20 suffixes.
Yeah.
And you could potentially understand hundreds, maybe thousands of words. It's like cracking a code.
A code to unlock a huge chunk of English? That's pretty motivating.
Absolutely. And once you understand how words are built, it leads to a really exciting idea, creating your own words.
Cool.
The ebook literally says, yes, you can, which I think is a really empowering message for you.
It is. It's a reminder that language isn't fixed, right? It's alive, it changes because people invent new ways to say things.
Totally. And the source gives a few practical ways you can try this. The simplest is just combining two words you already know. Their example, glow plus up, glow up.
Which everyone says now.
Right. Or you can take a word that exists and give it a new shade of meaning, like adulting.
Yes. Doing responsible adult things. Often badly.
Exactly. Describes that feeling perfectly.
Or a third way, you could use a known root but give it a new twist, like their example, techno-sync.
Yeah, meaning like staying in sync with technology trends. It's about playing with the building blocks you have.
But there's a key bit of advice too, isn't there? If you invent a word.
Oh, crucial. Make sure it's understandable in context. People need to get what you mean.
Right.
And ideally, it should sort of sound right, have a natural flow.
Makes sense. You want it to be clever, not just confusing. Okay, so we've got these blending tools. How can you actually start using them in everyday conversation to sound, more natural, more expressive?
Well, blends are great for making your spoken English sound more casual, more modern, more fun. The ebook has some good examples you might hear or use.
Okay.
Like saying, let's grab some brunch this Sunday. It's just easier, more natural than spelling it out.
Yeah, much quicker than a meal between breakfast and lunch.
Exactly. It streamlines things for you. Sounds contemporary. Or think about describing a movie as cringe-tastic.
Yes. Perfectly captures that mix of cringy, but also kind of brilliant.
It does. Or feeling hangry.
Oh, I know that one. Hungry plus angry. A dangerous combo.
Very. These blends are descriptive, but they're also memorable for you and whoever you're talking to.
So the takeaway is that using these kinds of words adds a bit of color, a bit of personality to your everyday chat.
Definitely. Makes it more engaging, helps you connect.
Okay, but it's not just for casual talk, right? Blending can be a serious tool for writers too, for storytelling.
Oh, absolutely. This is where writers can really use creative vocabulary to paint vivid pictures for their readers. Think about descriptions. Instead of just tall mountains, maybe sky-kissed mountains.
No, nice. Evocative.
Or describing a character as a tech junkie wizard. That tells you so much so quickly.
Yeah, two simple words blended give you a whole character concept.
Or even something atmospheric like whispering silence. It uses familiar words, but in a fresh combination to create a specific feeling.
So the book emphasizes using metaphors, blends, modifiers, basically adding texture to your writing.
Exactly. Making it richer, more engaging for the reader. There's a great sentence example in the source. Her fashion was a perfect mix of vintage glam and street chic.
Ah, vintage glam and street chic. Very concise, but you instantly get a sense of her style.
Precisely. It shows how effective these blends can be in writing to convey complex ideas really efficiently for your reader.
Okay, so theory is great, but practice makes perfect. The ebook suggests some fun activities to actually do this stuff, right? To get you actively blending.
Yes, which is crucial. The first one they call the blend challenge.
That's fun.
It is. Simple idea. Grab two random words, any words, and try to make a blend. Their example was rain plus vacation becoming raincation.
A rainy day staycation. I like it. It gets your creative linguistic gears turning.
It really does. Another good one is the word expansion drill. You pick a root word, they use form, and then you just brainstorm as many related words as you can.
So transform, deform, reformation, formalize, like that.
Exactly. It really hammers home for you how much mileage you can get from those core roots.
Okay, and there's a third one.
Yeah. Describe a person with a blend. They coined foodler from foodie plus traveler.
A foozler.
And then used it in a sentence. Alex is a real foodler, always hunting down the best eats in new cities.
That's brilliant. It makes the concept really practical and, well, fun. A quick way for you to describe someone's niche interest.
Exactly. These aren't just theoretical exercises. They get you doing it, experimenting with the language yourself.
All right, so if people listening are fired up now and want to dive deeper, where can they go? What resources does the ebook suggest for you?
Good question. For online tools, they recommend the online etymology dictionary. That's amazing for seeing where words came from.
Yeah, word origins. Fascinating stuff.
Also vocabulary.com for general word power boosting. And Merriam-Webster Word of the Day is always good for discovering something new.
Oh, and Word Hippo for synonyms and related words.
Yeah.
That seems really useful if you're actively looking for words to blend.
Definitely. And if you prefer actual books.
Let me guess. Word Power Made Easy.
That's one. By Norman Lewis, a classic. And also The Elements of Eloquence by Mark Forsyth, which is more about the artful use of language.
Those sound like great next steps.
And one final really practical tip they give for you, keep a personal vocabulary journal.
Ah, like a notebook.
Yeah, just somewhere you can jot down cool blends you hear, new words you learn, maybe even your own inventions. It makes the journey really personal.
That's a great idea. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into blending English vocabulary, what's the main thing you should walk away with?
I think the core message from the source is, see English not just as rules to learn, but as a dynamic, flexible playground. It's a tool you can shape.
A playground. I like that.
The more you play with it, the more creatively you engage, the more confident and expressive you'll become. It's kind of inevitable.
Yeah. So the message is, don't be afraid to experiment. Start blending, start noticing blends, maybe even invent a word or two yourself.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Your creation might just catch on. Language evolves through use.
Absolutely.
And maybe. Here's a final thought for you to chew on. Beyond just making learning easier or communication clearer, how might actively playing with vocabulary blending change how you actually perceive the English language itself? What new connections, what new layers of meaning could you uncover for yourself just by consciously fiddling with its building blocks? Something to think about.